United States, Governor Mitt Romney.
Thank you so very much. Mark, thank you for that very powerful and moving and emotional for me introduction. Thank you for your friendship. What a great man. Chancellor Falwell, thank you for your introduction and for your support and kindness today. Pastor Jonathan Falwell, Dr. Luis Palau, faculty and staff and distinguished guests, parents and friends, and graduating seniors from Liberty. For the graduates, of course, this moment marks a clear ending and a clear beginning. The task set before you 4 years ago is now completed in full. To the class of 2012, well done and congratulations. By the way, I'm told that some of you may have taken a little longer than 4 years to complete your studies. One graduate has said that he completed his degree in only 2 terms, Clinton's and Bush's. In some ways, it's fitting that I share this distinction with Truett Cathy. The Romney campaign comes to a sudden stop when we spot a Chick-fil-A. Your chicken sandwiches were our comfort food through the primary season, and heaven knows there were days that we needed a lot of comfort. So, Truett, thank you and congratulations on your well-deserved honor today. Of course, there are some people here who are even more pleased than the graduates. That would be their parents. Their years of prayers and devotion and investment have added up to this joyful achievement. And with credit to Congressman Dick Armey, the American dream is not owning your own home. It is getting your kids out of the home you own. Lately, I've found myself thinking about life in 4-year stretches. And let's just say that not everybody has achieved as much in these last 4 years as you have. But that's a theme for another day. But 2 observations. First, even though job opportunities are scarce in this economy, it's not for nothing that you have spent this time preparing. Jerry Falwell Sr. long ago observed that you don't determine a man's greatness by his talent or wealth, as the world does, but rather by what it takes to discourage him. America needs your talent and skill. If we take the right course, I am convinced we're going to see a resurgence in the American economy that will surprise the world and that will open new doors of opportunity for those who are prepared as you are. Of course, what the next 4 years might hold for me is yet to be determined. But I will say that things are looking up, and I take your kind hospitality today as a sign of good things to come. I want you to know that I consider it a great life honor to be able to be here to address you today. Your generosity of spirit humbles me. The welcoming spirit of liberty is a tribute to the gracious Christian example of your founder. In his 73 years of life, Dr. Falwell left a big mark. For nearly 5 decades, he shared that walk with his good wife, Maisel. It's wonderful to see her here today. The calling Jerry answered was not an easy one. Today, we remember him as a courageous and big-hearted minister of the gospel who never feared an argument and never hated an adversary. Jerry deserves the tribute he would have treasured most as a cheerful, confident champion for Christ. I'll always remember his cheerful good humor and selflessness. Several years ago, as Mark was describing, in my home, Ann and I were posing for a picture together with him. We wanted him to be in the center of the photo, but he insisted instead that Ann be in the middle and he and I be on the sides. And then he explained by pointing to me and then to himself. He said, "You see, Christ died between two thieves." Maybe the most confident step Jerry ever took was to open the doors of this school 41 years ago. He believed that Liberty might become one of the most respected Christian universities anywhere on the earth, and so it is today. He believed even when the first graduating class consisted of only 13 students, that year after year, young Christians would be drawn to such a university in ever great numbers. Here you are. Today, thanks to what you have gained here, you leave Liberty with conviction and confidence as your armor. You know what you believe, you know who you are, and you know whom you will serve. Not all colleges instill that kind of confidence, but it will be among the most prized qualities from your education here. Moral certainty, clear standards, and a commitment to spiritual ideals will set you apart in a world that is searching for meaning. That said, your values will not always be the object of public admiration. In fact, the more you live by your beliefs, the more you will endure the censure of the world. Christianity is not the faith of the complacent, the comfortable, or of the timid. It demands and creates heroic souls like Wesley, Wilberforce, Bonhoeffer, John Paul II, and Billy Graham. Each showed in their own way the relentless and powerful influence of the message of Jesus Christ. May that be your guide as well. You enter a world with civilizations and economies that are far from equal. Harvard University historian David Landis devoted his lifelong study to understanding why some civilizations rise and why others falter. His conclusion was this: culture makes all the difference. Not natural resources, not geography, but what people believe and what they value. Central to America's rise to global leadership is our Judeo-Christian tradition, with its vision of the goodness and possibilities of every human life. The American culture promotes personal responsibility, the dignity of work, the value of education, the merit of service, devotion to a purpose greater than self, and at the foundation, the preeminence of family. The power of these values, this culture, is evidenced by a recent Brookings Institution study that Senator Rick Santorum brought to my attention. For those who graduate from high school, get a job, and marry before they have their first child, the probability that they will be poor is 2%. But if those things are absent, 76% will be poor. Culture, what you believe, what you value, how you live, matters. Now, as fundamental as these principles are, they may become topics of democratic debate from time to time. So it is today with the enduring institution of marriage. Marriage is a relationship between one man and one woman. The protection of religious freedom has also become a matter of debate. It strikes me as odd that the free exercise of religious faith is sometimes treated as a problem, something America is stuck with instead of being blessed with. Perhaps religious conscience upsets the designs of those who feel that the highest wisdom and authority comes from government. But from the beginning, this nation has trusted in God, not man. Religious liberty is the first freedom in our Constitution. And whether the cause is justice for the persecuted, compassion for the needy and the sick, or mercy for the child waiting to be born, there is no greater force for good in the nation than Christian conscience in action. Religious freedom opens a door for Americans that is closed to many others around the world. But whether we walk through that door and what we do with our lives after we do is up to us. Someone once observed that the great drama of Christianity is not a crowd shot following the movements of collectives or even nations. The drama is always personal, individual, unfolding in one's own life. We're not alone in sensing this. Men and women of every faith and good people with none at all sincerely strive to do right and lead a purpose-driven life. And in the way of lessons learned by hitting the mark and by falling short, I can tell you this much for sure. All that you have heard here at Liberty University about trusting in God and in His purpose for each of us makes for more than a good sermon. It makes for a good life. So many things compete for our attention and devotion. That doesn't stop as you get older, by the way. We're all prone at various times to treat the trivial things as all important. The all-important things as trivial. And little by little, lose sight of the one thing that endures forever. No person I've met, not even the most righteous or pure of heart, has gone without those times when faith recedes in the busyness of life. It's normal, and sometimes even the smallest glimpses of the Lord's work in our lives can reawaken our hearts. They bring us back to ourselves, and better still, to something far greater than ourselves. What we have, what we wish we had. Ambitions fulfilled, ambitions disappointed. Investments won, investments lost. Elections won, elections lost. These things may occupy our attention, but they do not define us. Each of them is subject to the vagaries and the serendipities of life. Our relationship with our Maker, however, depends on none of that. It's entirely in our control, for He is always at the door and knocks for us. Our worldly success cannot be guaranteed, but our ability to achieve spiritual success is entirely up to us, thanks to the grace of God. The best advice I know to give is to give those worldly things your best, but never your all. Reserve the ultimate hope for the only one who can grant it. Many a preacher has advised the same, but few as memorably as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. As a young man, he said, with most of my life ahead of me, I decided early to give my life to something eternal and absolute. Not to these little gods that are here today and gone tomorrow, but to God who is the same yesterday, today, and forever. In this life, the commitments that come closest to forever are those of family. My dad, George Romney, was a CEO, a governor, and a member of the president's cabinet. My wife, Ann, asked him once, Dad, what was your greatest accomplishment? Without a moment's pause, he answered, raising our 4 kids. Ann and I feel the same way about our family. I've never once regretted missing a business opportunity so that I could be with my children and grandchildren. Among the things in life that can be put off, being there when it matters most isn't one of them. As C.S. Lewis said, the home is the ultimate career. All other careers exist for one purpose, and that is to support the ultimate career. Promotions often mark the high points in a career. I hope I haven't seen the last one of those. But sometimes the high points come in unexpected ways. I was asked to help rescue the 2002 Olympic Winter Games in Salt Lake City. I'm embarrassed now to recall that when this opportunity was first presented to me, I dismissed it out of hand. I was busy, I was doing well, and by the way, my lack of athletic prowess didn't make the Olympics a logical step for me. In fact, after I accepted the position, my oldest son called and said, Dad, I've spoken to the brothers. We saw the paper this morning. We want you to know there's not a circumstance we could have conceived of that would put you on the front page of the sports section. The Olympics were not a logical choice, but that was one of the best and most fulfilling choices of my life. Opportunities for you to serve in meaningful ways may come at inconvenient times, but that will make them all the more precious. People of different faiths, like yours and mine, sometimes wonder where we can meet in common purpose when there are so many differences in creed and theology. Surely the answer is that we can meet in service, in shared moral convictions about our nation stemming from a common worldview. The best case for this is always the example of Christian men and women working and witnessing to carry God's love into every life. People like the late Chuck Colson. Not long ago, Chuck recounted a story from his days just after leaving prison. He was assured by people of influence that even with his prison record, a man with his connections and experience could still live very comfortably. They'd make some calls, get Chuck situated, set him up once again as an important man. His choice at that crossroads would make him instead a great man. The call to service is one of the fundamental elements of our national character and culture. It has motivated every great movement of conscience that this hopeful, fair-minded country of ours has ever seen. Sometimes, as Dr. Viktor Frankl observed in his book For the Ages, it's not a matter of what we're asking of life, but rather what life is asking of us. How often the answer to our own problems is to help others with theirs. In all of these things, family, faith, work, service, the choices we make as Americans, in other places, are not even choices at all. For so many on this earth, life is filled with orders, not options, right down to where they live, the work they do, and how many children the state will allow them to have. All the more reason to be grateful this and every day that we live in the United States of America, where the talent God gave us may be used in freedom. Thank God for this country. And so at this great Christian institution, you've all learned a thing or two about these gifts and the good purposes they can serve. They're yours to have and yours to share. Sometimes your liberty education will set you apart, and always it will help direct your path. And as you now leave and make for new places near and far, I hope for each one of you that your path will be long and life will be kind. The ideals that brought you here, the wisdom you gained here, and the friends you found here, may these blessings be with you always, wherever you go. Thank you to you all. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.